Number one, I have never said, this is starting to actually kind of piss me off. I have never, ever said that open scoring would fix judging. I have never said that. I have never sat here on any other show and said that open scoring would fix judging. Because I see a lot of people saying like, nah, we need to get better judges. That would fix judging. I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course we need better judges. Of course we need judges who understand how to score MMA fights based on what the rules stipulate. Of course, it would be great to have fighters and coaches and broadcasters who understand it. I have never said that, turn the light on, open scoring. Now all of a sudden, there'll be no controversies. There'll be no drama. There'll be no debate. I've never said that. Ever. Absolutely never. Produce that piece of content for me. You won't find it. I've never said that. What I have said is, and I will reiterate this perhaps in a little more clear way, I believe that the reason why open scoring would be great would be for a few reasons. Number one, it's a bridge to improving the judging, because open scoring to me is all about accountability. It's all about, all right, if you aren't doing your job, if you aren't on the hot seat, if you aren't scoring fights the right way, if you aren't looking at the right type of thing, well, when does the accountability come? It comes in 15 seconds at the end of a fight, and then they shoo everyone out, and then it's on to the next one, right? That's what they typically do. Well, if it's happening in the middle of a fight, and if it's a 3-round fight, it probably only happens once. If it's happening in a title fight, and maybe it happens twice then, well, now there's a little more focus, just like there is in other sports when there's bad officiating, on the bad judging. And perhaps that focus, that pressure, that accountability would lead to improvement. Now, at the end of the day, they brought in these new rules, the new unified rules. Some of the states use different things. It's all very confusing. Another thing I have said in the past is, hey, if we had a national commission and everyone was using the same rules and everyone came together and there were seminars and there were, you update everyone and you go through these conferences and all this stuff. None of this is really being done. California does a great job every month. They have this little Zoom session and people come together. But there isn't enough of that being done. And so the only reason why I advocate for the open scoring is I feel, at the very least, like the fighters should know where they stand. If they're going to get screwed, if they're going to be misjudged, at least let them know where they stand. Now, I saw people over the weekend be like, well, it wouldn't have mattered in the Holly Holm-Caitlin Vieira fight because she won the 5th round, Holly did. Well, maybe if she found out that she lost the 3rd round, maybe she does something different in the 4th and 5th. I don't know. There's a lot of people that want to poke holes in the open scoring thing, but never really offer anything other than, well, the judging needs to be changed, or the judges need to be changed, or they need to bring in new judges. Guess what? I have been watching and covering MMA professionally since 2006. There ain't a lot of new refs or judges being brought into this game. It's a lot of the same dudes. In fact, I would say the ones in the UK probably are doing a better job of, freshening things up a little bit. But if we're being honest, it's a lot of the same officials. Look at them. Look at the names. Look at the faces. It's a lot of the same ones. So there isn't like this, conveyor belt of talent being brought in. And of course, we've talked about how it's a thankless job and they don't get paid all that much and all that stuff. I get all of that. So what's one way that we can bridge the gap to that improvement? Because yes, I agree. They should get better. It should all be improved. Well, one quick-ish fix is just make it all out in the open. Just let the world know what's going on in real time and let the fighters know if they're about to be screwed. Let them have a say in the matter. Let them be able to change their fate as opposed to end of the fight, you couldn't do anything about it, you got screwed, thank you, here's your half a pay. And it got me thinking about the Derek Brunson tweets of last week where he talked about the USADA app and he talked about how, I'm being, this app sucks and I have to tell them where I am 24/7 and this is crazy. And I responded to it a little bit like, could you imagine being an independent contractor, meaning someone who comes to your gardener, right? Your guy who fixes your cable, your guy who fixes your broken sink, your plumber, whatever, your handyman. Can you imagine being that guy and coming to your house, twice a year, 3 times a year, but having to tell me what you're doing for 365, having to update your whereabouts 365 because you did 2 or 3 jobs for me. I'm only paying you 2 to 3 times a year, but you got to tell me where you are at all time. And oh, by the way, you got to wear a uniform when you come to my house. You got to do what I say. You can't come in wearing this type of clothes. You can't do. No, it doesn't work. That's not how life works. And I know that you're going to say like, oh, what does one have to do with the other? What it has to do with the other is the lack of say that these men and women have in their careers. The only real thing that they have in terms of what they can determine and say for themselves is who's coaching them. Because guess what? Even management is sometimes a problem. UFC will say, we don't like your manager. We're not dealing with them. You have to get someone new. Or we're going to go around you. Or we're going to bring in someone else to fix this issue. It's really just the people in your corner. They can't wear what they want. You can't even hold a flag at this point. You don't even know where you stand as far as your score is concerned, your fight is concerned. Almost every step of the way, they don't have a say. They have no say in the matter. And so what I would like, that's why I talk about open scoring, is just give more of that power to the fighters, just a little bit more of that power. And that's why I think Invicta deserves a lot of credit. And that's why I think Kansas deserves a lot of credit. Colorado deserves a lot of credit. And you'll sit here and be like, oh, the WBC does it. Well, show me the MMA promotions that are doing it. Those are different sports. Those are, okay, fine. And show me the fights in boxing where they've done it, where it's drastically changed it, where it's made it that much worse. Oh, you could pick out little examples here. Out of hundreds upon thousands of fights, you could pick up little examples here. Show me the major MMA events that have tried this, that have tried to improve, that have tried to evolve, that have tried to get better, and it hasn't worked. Just show me that. Rather than saying, nah, it's not going to work. We need better judges. All right, well, when's that going to happen? In 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Well, until then, what are we going to do? Just sit around and bellyache about this? Sit around and just let fighters get screwed, especially when they only get half their purse if they get screwed? Would you rather that? Ultimately, at the end of the day, open scoring or not, I just want you all to be very clear about one thing. As long as there's a 10-point must system, there's always going to be controversial decisions. This is a boxing, we've been talking about this on this show for over a decade now. This is a boxing scoring system. It's always going to be controversial. It's always going to be somewhat debatable. Always, without a doubt. It's a boxing scoring system that has been implemented into a sport that is very different than boxing. And now the big thing that everyone wants to talk about is damage. But this ain't a video game where like there's a meter and every time someone gets hit and is damaged, their color goes down. That in its own right is very subjective. It's very hard to score MMA fights based on the criteria and based on the scoring system. It's damn near impossible. So it is a thankless job and it is a tough job. And what I want is accountability. That's all. Let it be out there in the open. Let the fighters know. And I've asked enough over the last few months, I would think. My guy Jedi provided me with some of the names that said that they were open to it. Rockhold, Matt Brown, Wonderboy, Whitaker, Bisping, Eddie Hearn, Canelo Alvarez, Tyson Fury, Corey Sandhagen, Cub Swanson, MVP, Carlos Barza. Ally Quinta said, nah, I don't like it. And so that got me thinking about something. See, again, I'm trying to adapt. I'm trying to evolve. I don't want to just sit here and parrot the same freaking thing over and over again like a lot of you out there. And I'm not sitting here and throwing shade at everyone like everyone loves to throw shade at me. I see you all with your little tweets and your little thing. It's fine. We can have different opinions on things. But all right, I go back to the lab and I say, all right, how can we make this better? How can we come to a middle ground? How can we get this to the spot until they improve the judging, until they improve the judges, until maybe, God willing, one day they actually improve the scoring system that has never been right for MMA. How can we come to a middle ground? So I want to propose something to GC and New Rick. Can we bring these guys up here for a second? Okay, so this is what I'd like to propose. How are you doing, guys? Good to see you again. Happy Monday.
Let's just get into it. Skip the formalities and the pleasantries.
Okay, this is it. I'm not talking about changing the rules. I'm not talking about changing the scoring. I'm not talking about changing the criteria. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Let's say there's 12 fights at UFC 275, right? Friday, after they weigh in, okay, they go to the back, they do the medicals. Let's say I'm Mr. Commissioner in Singapore. It's probably the UFC in charge. You get what I'm saying? Arizona, yep. Vegas, Nevada, New York, Florida. And let's say the fight is Valentina Shevchenko versus Tyler Santos. I'm going to go up to Valentina Shevchenko and say, all right, you understand this is a 5-round fight, 25 minutes, 5-minute rounds. Yes? You're aware of this? Yes. Are you in favor of open scoring? She says, yeah, I would like open scoring. Big fight, a lot at stake, cool. I'm going to go to Tyler Santos. Tyler Santos, big fight, 25 minutes, 5 rounds, Are you in favor of open scoring for this fight? Would you like open scoring for this fight? She says yes, we got a deal. She says no, no open scoring. And so what I'm basically saying is go to every single fight on the card and ask them. And if they both agree, use it for that fight. And if they both, one says yes, one says no, now it's off the table. I'm sorry, you couldn't come to an agreement. The two opponents have to agree. And if they both want it, because I can guarantee you more often than not, you see the Iaquinta thing really, because I really respect him, sold you a great house, legend. No, I was like, all right, fine. There's one guy. There's literally the first guy. Well, what if we go, show me another guy. Who else has been saying? I see Joe Bann tweeting me, all these guys. Ricky Simone, you come to the fighters and you say, all right, do you agree? If they both agree, let's go.
So I don't hate this.
I fixed it. I fixed judging. Frank, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Thank you. I fixed judging. I fixed it. Yes.
I think there's two things. First of all,
great idea.
I got so much to say. Two things. One,
great
didn't
idea,
fix
Ariel.
judging because judging and open scoring are two very separate things. They have to be thought of as separately. I don't agree.
Which I
that
also
one
said at the
solves the other.
I said that, right?
But you just said you solved judging.
Well,
we're gonna rewind a little bit.
Right.
Two, I don't hate it as somebody who is not in favor of open scoring. I don't like open scoring. I do think it eliminates drama. Again, we can get into the debate on that. But to address your
that's
point,
not looking at the fighter's perspective.
I'm not.
Okay.
I am not. I'm looking
It's
only
very
at the
selfish.
entertainment perspective. Yes, me. But I am open to that idea that you've just proposed. But I would go one step further and ask, why does it have to be an agreed upon thing? Why can't one fighter have the score told to them and one fighter not? Why do we have to have consensus between the two fighters? Why not just say, hey, Valentina, do you want to know the score after each round? Yes. Great. Tell Valentina the score after each round. Tyler, you don't want to? We're not going to tell you. Why does it even have to be?
So how are they going to tell her? They're just going to say in her corner?
Yeah, tell her corner between rounds. Hey,
in this world, do the fans get to know?
Well, you see, that's where it gets interesting. I actually don't hate what you just said.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the fans don't really matter in this equation because they're watching the fight.
Well, your intention, your whole argument, and the basis of this is for the fighters to have that knowledge, not necessarily the crowd.
Care less about the crowd.
I am proposing, why not just let the individual fighter decide?
I'm in. I just want it to be a fair sort of,
give them both the chance, but only if you don't want it. If you're Al Iaquinta, right? If you're Al Iaquinta and you say, I don't want to know, I just want to go in there, bite down on my mouthpiece and throw, then you don't have to. Now, it will change, as to GC's point, like you're not going to show necessarily the info in the arena as the scorecards go, but that fighter still has that knowledge. You can tell them in their corner, hey, you're down 2 rounds. It doesn't change a thing for anybody in that case.
What do you think, GC?
Ariel, you would be just as happy in this situation if only the fighters got to know and the fans didn't find out at all?
Listen, if the fighters know, I think it would make sense because I actually do agree. But yes, to answer your question, yes, but I actually disagree with New York Rick in that I actually think it makes it more compelling. If you have a 3-round fight and at the end, I would say in a 3-round fight, you only do it once after the second. I would even argue in a 5-round fight, just do it maybe once, maybe twice max, not after every round. And that score flashes, it's so funny. Like, I wish I could talk to DC right now. I'd be like, wait, you, Daniel Cormier, who comes from a sport where there's actual scoring, where you know exactly where you stand in the Olympic Games, you don't want open scoring? How could that be? He said yesterday he doesn't like open scoring. Fine, I get it's a little bit different. But yes, ultimately, it's about the fighters. I'm the only one in this whole freaking game that cares about the fighters. I said it, the only one. I care more about the fighters than the fighters themselves. You guys have to update an app to let the world know where you are, let the promotion know where you are. And guess what? You know what's the best part? The actual employees of said organization don't even have to do that. This is something that an employee should have to do. Do employees of the UFC have to update an app where they are at all times? But the independent contractors do? Do you guys realize how fucked up that is?
But it's to keep the fighters from not cheating. It's not like the
I don't care about the steroid use of anybody else in the UFC.
Anyone at the UFC.
Has that been collectively bargained?
I agree with you.
Has that been decided upon?
But here's where I think your argument can have holes poked in it, and I don't think it's on the merit of it. I don't think it's on the basis. You are combining and conflating so many things. You are mixing up too many.
I already
things
said at the beginning, open scoring doesn't fix judging. I'm just trying to get us a bridge
when you
to
make
that.
These arguments, you decided to make this argument on the back of a controversial judging decision. They're not related.
Honestly,
they are not related. It does not fix it.
This wasn't a controversial. It was a close fight. It just comes up every week. So today everyone's all up in my mentions. Everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
These things need to remain separate if you're going to make an argument that is not going to get confused. And I understand why people are not understanding your argument because again, we're mixing in.
They're not listening.
Now we're mixing in the collective bargaining and the drug testing. These things are all related. They are all related. They're not the same argument, and they need to be separated. And otherwise, it will continue to be confused.
The point is, the fighters don't have a say in the matter.
That's the umbrella point. That's the overarching
point. And so
point.
now I'm giving you different examples where they don't have a say.
And I agree with
drug
that.
testing,
the fighters
judging,
should have a say in all this.
Sponsors.
I agree with that. But
no one seems to care. I care about the entertainment. No, you don't. You just said entertainment. You couldn't care less.
Okay, let me ask you this, and this is for the entertainment. Every sport, basketball, football, baseball, wrestling, whatever sport you're talking about, it is a combination of two things, competitive athletics and entertainment. They are not divorced from each other. It is the combination. Even pro wrestling, right? Pro wrestling is high on the entertainment scale, low on the competition scale because it's predetermined outcomes, right? I'm talking about professional wrestling, not amateur wrestling. Basketball, good combination of the two, right? Entertainment product, but clear rule set, things like that. There is a sliding scale of both of those things, entertainment and sports competitiveness that happens in all of these sports. In MMA, we are higher on the entertainment scale than we are on the competitive sports scale than, let's say, basketball. I'm in agreement, and I can readily admit to you that there is a disservice to the fighter by not knowing the score. But I am, as the consumer of this product, and the organization, in the case of the UFC that is putting on the product, willing to take that, willing to accept that reality of the situation and produce the product that fans enjoy. So I am willing to go with that. If the fighters tomorrow, all of them, came out and said, we demand open scoring, I relent. Great. Take it.
By the way, we've got a running tally right now of the vast majority of the UFC roster saying
we'll just hang on to Al. We'll just hang on to Al and we'll keep our entertainment. But my point is, there is an acceptable level of entertainment in all of these sports that the rules are altered to be entertaining. That is just a reality. Not everything is purely for the benefit of the athlete. There is no sport that is just purely for the benefit of the athlete.
Is there one thing that happens in the UFC that is the benefit of the athlete? I can't think of one thing. I can't think of one thing.
But I also think with open scoring, I almost think that open scoring can create more exciting matches sometimes. When you get the confirmation, especially in a 3-round fight.
Yes.
You know it's 1-1 going into round 3.
I couldn't agree more. They flashed that score on the scoreboard. Everyone's like, oh, snap. She lost that round. It's 1-1.
Like it's tied going into
Here's where that
Everyone
argument
always
falls
loves
apart.
to bring up the negative. What about the positive?
Here's where that argument falls apart. We have open scoring. There are places there are organizations and jurisdictions that have had open scoring.
Yeah. And when has it failed?
Not happened.
When has it failed?
What do you mean failed? Like nobody is cheering in the crowd when the score gets flashed.
Yeah, guess
it just
what?
doesn't happen.
With all due respect to Invicta, there's 12 people in the crowd.
Boxing fights, MMA fights, there is no uproar and the fighters aren't fighting harder. There is no evidence to show that this happens. There's zero.
Yeah, there's also
none.
no evidence in those sports that you can freaking punch a guy when he's out. Like, these sports are different. You can't
No, I'm talking about
But there's also no evidence that it ruins it.
The only main promotion that does it is Invicta at this point. Oh, Combate does it a little bit. But
Combate says
there's no one there.
So why are we not looking at those examples, though? Why are we not looking to them and saying, okay, it hasn't materially affected the...
Negatively as well, though. You have to say negatively.
I'm with you on that.
So your reason to make a change is because it hasn't negatively or positively affected anything?
No, I would say it's actually been positive. Ask the Invicta fighters. They like it. They like to know where they stand. Shannon herself says she likes it. Why did she say she liked it? Because it gives power to the fighters. One of the all-time great promoters in the history of the sport says she wants to give power to the fighters. Imagine that, right? Imagine that.
You were talking about entertainment. Again, two things are being confused. You were talking about the entertainment aspect. You were saying that it will make things more entertaining. I said, prove it. Show me.
Yes. Okay.
Show me the examples.
But also to your point, saying it'll be less entertaining, I want you to prove that as well.
Yeah. I didn't say it.
Yeah, you did. You said, where's the example?
You like the entertainment aspect of it, and this will take away from that.
GC, this is what they all do online. They're like, okay, it's not going to work. And then they offer nothing.
I didn't say it's not going to work.
Okay, so then let me prove it. Let's do it at UFC 276.
Oh, well, okay. You're saying...
Well, how can I prove it?
I love these ideas.
It has happened.
They're not going to come to fruition.
It has happened already.
No.
We have open scoring fights.
I want it on the biggest stage, UFC. I want a UFC event with open scoring. Just do it once. What, they do freaking events at the Apex for 2 years. They can't do one open scoring event. They can't try it with one. Dude, by the way, Guess what? Do a Contender Series. Can you do it for Contender Series?
I'm fine. Try it. Go for it.
Ultimate Fighter.
We went from UFC 276 to Dana White's Contender Series.
Dude,
That's
do it
what
at
you
the
agreed
Road
on?
to Singapore tournament. Can you do it? Just try it. That's all I say. If it fails, I'll be the first to say, you know what, that sucked.
Your idea, and also your idea of like huge success, failure, that's not real either. Like it's not going to be a huge success and it's not going to be a failure. It's going to be nothing,
This is the problem
which is
with
what it has
society.
been.
I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing it.
Okay, what about my agreement thing in the back?
Fine.
I
try
like
it.
that idea, but
Again,
that idea is never going to happen.
My argument isn't.
It's because it's never going to happen.
My argument isn't open scoring is dumb. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it's been used and it's shown nothing. So what?
But it hasn't shown bad.
So
there you go.
it hasn't shown bad. So that's the reason to change something because it hasn't.
Well, if it hasn't shown bad, then it's been good.
If it
No,
hasn't
that's
shown
not
bad
true.
and
That
the
is not
fighters are
true.
in favor of it,
That's
then
a
I
wrong.
support it.
That's a wrong argument.
We
Just
need to-
because it hasn't been bad doesn't mean it has.
You know
been.
what? I want to get Shannon Knapp on this program to talk about why it has been so good. I might just
Sure.
do that.
Sure,
I like that.
I'd like to hear it. But yes,
Go to the back.
it hasn't done.
Okay.
It hasn't had any material effect.
Hey,
We've
Go to the
seen this.
back thing isn't happening, dude.
Max. Hey, Max.
I'm okay with
You want
that.
open scoring for this? Volkanovski said yes. Yeah, you know what?
See.
We got screwed.
But why do they need to agree? That's what I don't get. Why do they need to agree?
I kind of like it if they agree.
Again, entertainment, fighters' knowledge. These two things can be separated. You don't need to combine the two. You don't need to combine the two.
Okay, but in this case where I want everything to be somewhat uniform, everyone on the same page.
Well, now you're talking about fighters. What if there's some fighters you don't want to know? Now you're.
Oh, then
now
they
you're
say no,
taking
and now
away.
it's all. I'm sorry, bud.
Well, now the other fighter got screwed, right? Max wants it. Now
No.
he got screwed
Takes
because
two
he
to
doesn't
tango.
get it.
Takes two to
Okay,
tango.
well,
Takes
so
two-
somebody's
this
getting
is the
screwed.
agreement.
Somebody's always getting.
No,
screwed.
no, no. We're giving you the opportunity. Hey, and by the way,
Split it up.
maybe Max calls up Alex. Yo, bro, like what happened? Why didn't you want it? Yeah, I'll slip you an extra 10%.
If they do the backdoor thing too, the fans can't know because we couldn't
Split
be
it
going
up.
in and out broadcast. It's like, okay, this one's going to be open scored. This one isn't.
Why not? Isn't that freaking great?
Yeah,
Split
I
it
just
up.
don't think that would ever happen.
John,
we
this
get the
ba-
card. These are going to be open scored.
Anik, coming up in the featherweight division, brought to you by Modelo, brewed for the fighting spirit. We got an open scoring fight coming up on the card now. UFC 276. It's Max Holloway. Now
That's not happening.
you're telling me you're not in?
Across the board. I wanted
you're-
across the board or nothing.
If
Okay,
your
I like that
primary,
too.
Yeah, all or nothing.
See, now you lose it's for the fighters. If your primary argument is it's for the fighters and it's for their knowledge only, let the individual fighter decide. It should have no effect if their
Okay.
opponent doesn't want it.
That's fine.
Only they get it.
That's
Only
fine.
they get that info. If that's your argument, then you have to accept that reality.
Man, then there would be like so much speculation if someone came out like looking for a crazy finish and everything. Oh, did they get told the score and they know that they're losing? Like,
Yeah, they'd be
be
able to know
interesting.
after
That might even create more drama.
By the way, could you imagine, tell me, has an Invicta fighter come out and said this screwed me up?
Have they said
Listen,
it was
as
the most
someone who's
amazing thing that changed
Been in
they
my
the
said
life?
it's been so
trenches.
Who
I
said
enjoy
this?
open scoring.
By the way, great call here from EK. Remember DJ versus Ian McCall 1 when he got screwed because of the bad freaking math in Australia? If one of Dana's talking points in the interview with Ariel Helwani was that he would have loved to see the fans' reaction if they found out that the fight was a draw and they were going to a sudden death round. You remember that? Everyone was like, oh my God, sudden
Yeah,
death
but they would have found
round.
out a draw at the end of the fight.
Yeah, and then they freaking screwed it up. Had we known in the heat of the battle, in real time, could have fixed it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced.
Chase is ready.
I'm unconvinced.
Frank, we fixed judging. We fixed judging, baby.